Welcome to the Dirt Broadcast, digging to the bottom of every situation to get to the truth. Here's your host, Jason Mills.
Hello, folks. Hope everybody's doing well. We'll just give everybody just a few minutes. Sorry about not having a podcast here recently. Oops. I was testing out, make sure my microphone was on because it's been giving me problems. Anyway, sorry about that. Hopefully everybody's out there doing well and staying out of all this rain if you can. I will give everybody just a few minutes to jump on here. Hopefully we'll get some folks watching the podcast tonight. We're going to cover the county commission meeting, some other things. Like I said, we're just going to give everybody a few minutes trying to get everything situated here. I had some more things I was trying to add to the podcast tonight, but StreamYard here wasn't cooperating with me. So I've got a few little things that will show on the screen and that kind of thing, but not nearly as much as I was hoping for. But you know, we'll do what we can with what we got. But like I said, hope everybody's doing well out there, and you're staying out of all this rain and dreariness if you can. I know I have to deliver out in it, and I tell people all the time that cardboard don't like getting wet too much. But what can you do? You got to work, right? Hope everybody is excited about the upcoming holidays and that kind of thing. Spend time with your family. I know Halloween is coming up on Friday, so as you go out and do your trick-or-treating and all that kind of good stuff, I hope you stay safe and get lots of goodies and all these Halloween parties that are going on and people do, and the trunk or treats at the churches and all those kinds of things, and Maryville Police Department's doing one. I hope you have a good time while you're out there and enjoying the community and all it has to offer and that kind of thing. But most of all, just be safe and all those kinds of good things, especially out on them dark roads and trying to walk house to house, trick or treat and that kind of thing. Wear something flashing light or something vibrant so people can see you out there if possible. But anyways, we'll give everybody about another 30 seconds or so, and then we will jump on in the conversation. We're going to talk about the county commission meeting tonight and that kind of thing. But had a bunch of folks messaging me wanting to know when the podcast was going to happen, and was I having one tonight? I apologize for not having a podcast the past few weeks. been covered up with work and trying to do several different things with some other jobs. I'm working more than one job and that kind of thing, just trying to get caught up on bills and all those kinds of good things. And it's just been chaotic but I'm here tonight, and so we'll have a good time and talk about what we have to talk about. And again, folks, if you have any questions, as always, feel free to ask those questions at any point in time, and I'll try to answer them best I can. And I'm stalling a little bit so some more people can get on here. But anyways, county commission meeting last night. Lots of things to talk about there. Lots of other things going on in the county. I was hoping somebody would get me shared out there so we could get some more people on here, but anyways, hello there on YouTube. Again, as always, welcome to the Dirt Podcast. My name's Chase Mills. I'm your host. And follow me on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, all those good things. As always, we appreciate you joining us. Like I said, ask any question you have as we go through the night. And anyway, sorry about that. So let's talk about some things that are happening. In case you haven't heard, there's was a story in, I guess, last week's, I call it the dog poop picker upper paper, but in the UNL about, whole story is Constable Dennis went to a property that he was serving an eviction notice on, and upon serving that eviction notice, discovered that this trailer, this single wide, I believe it was, had 92 dogs in it. 92 dogs in the little trailer. And of course, that was concerning. So he got Christy Williams, which is the animal control officer in Union County, to come, and they ended up confiscating these 92 dogs. Oh wait, let me back up. You didn't hear the names of the officers that were involved in that article. It kind of said what happened. It kind of gave the details of the story, but conveniently, as usual, you can't give credit where credit is due, especially when it's a constable named John Dennis or a deputy named Christy Williams. So you can't do that unless you're, trying to harass them from this certain reporter. So the names of the officers weren't included in that article, and that just goes to show you the hypocrisy and the one-sidedness to things that happen with that local news rag. But anyway, so the officers that were actually involved were Constable John Dennis and Animal Control Officer Christy Williams. And like I said, 92 dogs in this one trailer. And they took them to an animal rescue. I believe it's in Halls. I don't know if they're still there or not, but that's where they were transported to. And something else that wasn't included in that article that was conveniently written in that newspaper was how the animals got transported. Those animals were transported by the constable, John Dennis, as well as Christy Williams, the deputy, the animal control officer. And if that newspaper would have investigated or looked into or talked to the officers involved with that story, they would have been able to see things like this. So I'll play that one more time. These are the dogs, or some of the dogs, that were transported to this rescue in these cruisers. These, John Dennis, for instance, these were the dogs in his vehicle. So John Dennis, Constable Dennis, transported 71. Yes, I said that right. 71 of these 92 dogs in his personal constable vehicle that he pays for and paid for the gas and all that. And you could imagine having 71 dogs in your vehicle at one time and transporting them to this animal rescue. And the other animals, the other 21 ish dogs were transported by Christy Williams in her vehicle. But you didn't hear that in that article that was written by the UNL. Again, it's just because you can't give credit where credit is due when it's people you don't like. And that's unfortunate because, it goes to show that the actual constable, for instance, that this whole thing started over, is actually out there doing his job and serving the community that elected him and that they fought so hard to do away with. And so you think that these 92 dogs would still be in that trailer, and most of them, granted, are in good condition and looked like they were fed and that kind of thing. So I'm not going to knock anybody for that, but 92 dogs in a little trailer is quite mind-boggling, and I couldn't imagine the smell or anything with 92 animals in a little place. But again, just because the UNL did not post anything, I will say thank you, John Dennis and Christy Williams, for saving those animals and that kind of thing yet again. And again, I will show these pictures one more time so everybody can see these dogs actually being transported or loaded up into this cruiser. But again, John Dennis transported 71 of these puppies there in his personal paid for constable vehicle, and of course was not reimbursed by anybody or anything like that to do so. So, with that being said, speaking of Christy Williams, most of you have heard by now, I'm sure, about by Christy Williams for a number of reasons, harassment and all these other kinds of things. And I've not got the details of that lawsuit or anything, but that did come out the other day. And that meme there was because Marty Smith, the reporter for the UNL, did in fact follow or at least track down Deputy Williams over at Duck Duck Goose, which is kind of why I put the geese, the gooses in there, the geese in there with the reporter there. Just a little laugh there for you, but why on earth somebody would track somebody down over at a job that she was working on the side? And like I said, talked about it before on a podcast that Deputy Williams has every right to work a side job, just like any other deputy or officer or state trooper or anybody that wants to work those kind of jobs can do. So she went as far as to take videos of Deputy Williams' personal vehicle, her license plate, the whole 9 yards, which in fact proved, at least to me, that Deputy Williams was actually there on her own time. She didn't take Union County squad car over there and do all that. So obviously Marty knew that she transported herself in her personal vehicle. So when Deputy Williams told Marty that she was there as a side job and she was actually on vacation and all this other kind of stuff, instead of Marty backing off, she decided that she had to do all this Facebook videos and go live and talk about busted and all this nonsense. Again, harassing and doing all these things that I don't care if you're a reporter or not. Going that far to that extreme is uncalled for and therefore resulted, which I warned Marty and the UNL a long time ago that if they kept up these kind of shenanigans, that something like this would happen. And whether that lawsuit succeeds or not, I guess we'll find out as the court process goes through. But either way, hopefully it's a lesson learned. Matter of fact, several months ago when Marty was coming after me and putting me in the newspaper and that kind of thing, I told her plainly, I said, Marty, you need to cut some of this stuff out or you're going to write a check that you can't cash. You're going to write a check, it's going to bounce. And she thought or still thinks or did think she was untouchable and that nobody would ever fight back. And so obviously she finally found somebody that is going to fight back and is tired of it. So kudos to Christy Williams for standing up for herself. I did talk to Christy that day, or Deputy Williams that day, and she was rather upset. I hope she don't mind me saying this, but she was rather upset that day. She was actually in tears, and it really upset her. And I told her not to let Marty have that much power over her because that's what Marty wanted. And so I don't know if my advice helped any, but I felt bad for her, and she was upset, like I said, and to follow somebody all the way over to Duck Duck Goose so they could just expose somebody and go live about it, video the personal vehicle and the license plate and all that nonsense was uncalled for. And so like I said, when you take it too far, when you go down that road to go all the way to Knoxville from Union County to Duck Duck Goose just to go live and talk about busted. She had every right. Deputy Williams did nothing wrong by taking that job. It's an extra job, and there again, nothing wrong with it. People do it all the time. If you drive down Maniville Highway or in the road construction, those deputies that you see on the side of the road, whether they're city officers, deputies, state troopers, they are all working a side job, just like Deputy Williams did at Duck Duck Goose. They're not being paid to sit there as, working officers that are supposed to be doing calls for service. They are working a side job sitting there. And most of the time, I'm going to expose a little secret here. Most of the time, because I've done those jobs, right? When I was a police officer those 8 years, I've done those kinds of jobs. Most of the time during traffic, Highway 33, that kind of stuff, most of the time those officers are either asleep. We watch movies a lot. You just put it at the time, DVD right in your computer there. Your MDT is what they were called when I was an officer. And you'd watch, DVDs while you were sitting there. You're not actually there to arrest anybody or write tickets or do anything like that. You're there for the safety of the construction workers and that kind of thing. Just like Deputy Williams was over there working basically as a security guard at Duck Duck Goose. That was her job. That's what she was there for. She wasn't there as necessarily a deputy, if you want to say. She was there as security. She was there to make sure nothing got stolen or nothing bad happened or, that kind of thing. Of course, she's an officer. If somebody needed to be arrested, I'm sure she could have detained them and, went through the process of calling Knox County or the city of Knoxville over there or whatever the case needed to be. Hopefully none of that happened, but she had every right to be. And I don't know what Duck Duck Goose paid her. I don't care what Duck Duck Goose paid her. I know those deputies on the highway making pretty daggone good money to sit there, because I know what those jobs pay, or at least I did. I'm sure they pay more now than they did when I was an officer, but it's just ridiculous that it went as far as this reporter to go over there, number one. For two, to, again, go live and talk about busted. And to even go even further to put an officer of the law, somebody that has risked their lives to protect and serve the public, whether it's here in Union County or over there at the Expo Center where Duck Duck Goose was or wherever, to go even further and expose the personal vehicle, the license plate, to put that officer's life in that kind of jeopardy. Everybody knows, unless you live under a rock, everybody knows the climate that we live in currently, and the left and their disregard for law enforcement, and not all of them, but a lot of them, and their willingness to do whatever they can to defund the police or to put officers' lives in jeopardy and all these kinds of things. But for a local reporter to go to that extreme and to expose the personal things, personal vehicle, license plate, you can trace a license plate and figure out where somebody lives and a lot of other things, or you could follow them because now you know what kind of vehicle they're in and all. It's a safety concern. And if something would have happened to Deputy Williams because of that, Marty would have been liable. In my mind, I'm not a judge, but in my mind, she would have been the cause of it. And to get on there and to try to paint the picture that she was double dipping. She was working as a deputy, but she was over at Duck Duck Goose when she wasn't, and was even told she wasn't. Christy even followed her outside and took a video of herself explaining to Marty that she was on vacation and all this kind of stuff, which she didn't have to do, but she felt bad and she was trying to explain. Marty didn't want to hear it. And then you see her waddle through the parking lot and do these kinds of things. For what? Because you thought you had a story, you were just trying to harass somebody, whatever the case may be. Result is a lawsuit got filed, and now you're going to pay the piper. And not only the reporter, but those who gave her the way to go about harassing somebody with the smoke and mirrors, right? Under the guise of a newspaper. And so then, therefore, Chris Upton and Elbra, the owner of the UNL, are getting sued too. And, you know, what can you say? They've been asked and asked and asked to stop some of this Marty shenanigans, who is only weaponizing the UNL to go after all the folks that she doesn't like, to support the ones that she does like, are, you know, mainly government officials, to other than the sheriff, because we all know that she's decided that she can't stand him. So that switch happened, but everything has been used as a weapon. And if she doesn't like you, then she makes fun of you in the newspaper, or she'll continue to write stories about you in the newspaper, or she doesn't give you credit. Like I said, in this case with the 92 dogs with John Dennis and Deputy Williams, just completely eliminate their names and not tell the whole story. When you get to a point where you're allowing somebody to use that paper as a weapon, then you're just as guilty by giving her the go-ahead. And that thing, my opinion, is that's how they got involved with this lawsuit as well. And like I said, lawsuit may not go anywhere, or it may go anywhere, somewhere. Who knows? But I give kudos to Christy, and I hope that some more folks step up and actually stand their ground and actually go through the proper channels to protect themselves too. And matter of fact, all the lawsuits that are going on currently, and you got the 911 lawsuit, you've got this lawsuit against the UNL, they're all related but not related, because they're all about the failures of our local government, and they're enabling folks to do certain things to allow this kind of thing to continue to go on. And matter of fact, folks, I can tell you right here today that I know of at least 3 more lawsuits on the way. So it's not done. And I'm talking about local government being sued, or those involved with local government in some form or fashion. Things are going to happen. People are tired of it. And I've been screaming that for years now, that people need to start standing up. And so that's where we are. That's the lawsuit. Let's talk about the county commission meeting. Before I actually get into one of the things that happened, or before I get into the county commission meeting too deeply, I want to talk about something that I thought was kind of odd, okay? Since we're talking about dogs tonight and that kind of thing, during the budget amendments and that kind of thing, when Missy Brown was up there going through that, normally those budget amendments are kind of like boom, boom, boom. She says what the amendment is for, and then every county commissioner always, for the most part, they're always all yeses. It's just a formality, right? They just boom, 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 go through them, all vote yes, and then they pass, and so on and so forth. It's just a matter of a way to keep the book straight, right? It's just moving money from one line in the budget to another line, and so it's just, vote yes, 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 yes. Everybody votes yes, it passes. They move on to the next budget amendment, and all this. That's just a short explanation of how that happens. One of the ones that I thought was hilarious, and it just stuck out to me. Certain things during county commission meetings stick out to me. And one of the ones was a vote that looked like this. And that's half the screen. As you see there was 3 no votes. I know it's kind of blurry. That's the best image I could get of it. But there's 3 no votes on there. Eddie Simpson's one, and there's another one. I can't remember who that one was. But the top one there is what I thought was just the craziest thing. Sidney Jesse Jr. voted no. And it's funny to me, or it stuck out to me, because it just struck me, right? And here's what the vote was about. It was a budget amendment to move money from the drug fund, from the sheriff's department's drug fund, to a line to be able to feed the canines and to take care of the canines, the dogs of the sheriff's department. And it just made me laugh. It made me crack up, because Sidney Jesse Jr. there votes no. He doesn't want to move that money to be able to feed these dogs. Of course not. He wasn't even feeding his own dogs. So of course he doesn't want to have the he doesn't want, he wants to vote no on feeding the county dogs too. It's a proven record. He didn't feed his 6 dogs. We went through all that in the report that was made on there. And here we are. He votes no to feed the county-owned canine dogs. And like I said, folks, there's just certain things that stick out to me during these county commission meetings that nobody else will pay attention to for the most part. But it just struck me, kind of floored me a little bit. Like, how could you not do that? And while we're on the subject of those dogs, with the report that was made on the mistreatment of Sidney Jesse Jr.'s dogs, not to beat a dead horse, if you will. I talked to some folks yesterday, and they explained to me why he didn't get as much heat, for instance, as the kitten being thrown, because everybody was upset about the kitten getting thrown. And so the explanation to me was, well, a lot of people felt sorry for him. And I'm like, well, felt sorry for him for not feeding his 6 dogs and giving them water and taking care of them. Why? Explain that to me. I don't understand. Why are you feeling sorry for him because of it? And so the explanation was, well, there's a lot of people in Union County that can't take care of their dogs right now, and they're in that same situation. And so they felt sorry for him. And I'm like, wait a minute. Let's break this down. Let's use our common sense and let's break this down just a little bit. So, because he didn't feed these dogs and give them water and proper shelter and all this kind of things, and hopefully he is now, but I'm saying at the time he didn't. So it's okay because you felt sorry for him. Wait a minute. If he can't take care of 6 dogs, why does he have 6 dogs? Why doesn't he have 1 dog? But you feel sorry for him because he couldn't take care of the 6. I said, that doesn't make sense to me. You're giving him a free pass for his mistreatment, even though he's a county official and supposed to be held to a little bit of a higher standard. You're giving him a pass because you felt sorry for him. So I went on further with these folks that I was talking to. I said, well, what would you think about it, just hypothetically, if he was asked a question about what he thought about litter? Let's say he was driving down the road and a car in front of him threw a bag of trash out. And do you think that he would be upset about breaking the litter law? And they said, well, yeah, of course he would. He'd want to keep Union County looking good. And they said that, he of course would be upset about that. It's okay. Did you not see the pictures of his property? All the litter there. I said, so are you feeling sorry for him because he had a yard full of trash too? I said, you're just not making sense to me how you're feeling bad or you're feeling sorry for him because of this stuff. I said, I don't get it. And of course they didn't want to continue the conversation after that. But it was just, I just don't understand why people gave him the free pass on his animal cruelty. So I don't know. But anyways, like I said, that was just odd to me that he voted no to feeding the county canine deputy dogs. But it is fitting because he doesn't feed his own dogs. But anyways, all right. So let's go through the county commission meeting. Good to see you folks. I appreciate you making comments. Any questions you have or any comments you have, feel free to put them on there. I know I've not been on here in a little while. I've had some things pop up and different things, but all right. So, reminder, if you're interested, there's a delinquent tax sale coming up on Saturday, November the 1st at 10 a.m. at the courthouse in the large courtroom. If you're interested in checking that out, you can check with Sandra Edmondson's office, and they can give you a list of whatever properties might be coming up for auction, and that kind of thing. Let's see. So some of the things that happened in the county commission meeting that might concern you are the second part of the property for the new jail. All the borings and surveys and all that came back good. And so the mayor said that he doesn't see a reason why they couldn't proceed on purchasing that if county commission so chose to. But he said if you are going to vote to purchase the second part of that property, the other 10 acres, then I'd prefer you do it now. It would save us some money because we could go ahead and draw up the contract and close on both parcels at the same time and make it one deed instead of two and all those kinds of things. So they did vote. Danny Cook made the motion to purchase. Sidney Jesse made the second. The total cost of this purchase of the property is $550,000. That did pass. So they are going to purchase the entire 22 acres. If you remember, it's 10 acres, and then they got 2 free with the first part of the property, and this second part was another 10 acres. So there was 22 acres total that the county is going to purchase. There was some homeowners that came there that their property bumps up to this property that encouraged county commission not to purchase this property. Asked them not to, but their pleas for that kind of fell on deaf ears, and like I said, that did pass. All county commissioners voted to purchase that, other than Larry Lay and Gerald Simmons. They voted no, and Linda Effler abstained. So there's your vote on that. So far, folks, county commission has paid with your tax dollars about $68,000 to survey the property, the first property, and they took $2 million out of debt service, which is just a fancy way of saying your tax money, out to pay the architects and all that. So roughly $2 million of your tax money has been spent so far. There was a 911 report done to county commission. They say that all their staff has gone through 40 hours of training. Some have done additional training, but not all. All 911 dispatchers are TCPR trained and are giving those. Remember, we had that big thing, and I did a podcast about 911 not giving you CPR instructions if you're in a situation where you need to give CPR. All that's been remedied now. All of them are CPR trained. All of them are giving those life-saving measures over the phone if needed. They have updated some servers and some different equipment and that kind of thing. So I give credit where credit is due. And, getting the CPR training was really important to me, at least. And like I said, I did a podcast on it a while back. And when we exposed all that for not happening from the former 911 director, which was Sheriff Breeding, who was instructing 911 dispatchers to not give those instructions. That was something that, I thought was very important for Union County citizens to have, and they have had to use that. They have had to give those instructions several times. So, I like I said, give credit where credit is due. Morgan Kreider has got those folks trained and instructed them to give these instructions out if need be. So, again, credit where credit is due. 911 is also asking the different cities, Manorville, Plainview, and that kind of thing, that have police departments, and that Union County 911 is doing the dispatching for, asking them to give 911 some money. They're still in negotiations with the city of Manorville, but the city of Plainview did give 911 $5,908. So, take that for what it's worth. All right, going back to some of the other things. One of the other things I thought was kind of odd, and I don't know why, because, again, going back to budget amendments, a lot of time, most of the time, these things just pass, and they don't even really think about it, let alone conversate about it. But I did notice that Greg Dyer voted no on almost every one of them, other than anything that had anything to do with the school system. I don't know why. It again, just little things that I pick up on when I go to these meetings that I find odd and make me want to question things. Why did Greg Dyer vote no on almost all these budget amendments? Nobody else did, other than the dog feeding the dogs. Now that one had several that voted against it, but it just puzzled me as to why. But just something else I was pointing out. Also in Melissa Brown's report, they approved some surplus items. So if you're looking for a paper shredder, some artwork, a table with a filing cabinet attached, or a court/chalkboard, they will be putting those up for sale on GovDeals, I suppose. Now, they do have a new thing where they're sharing with other departments if somebody wants it. One of the contracts that they talked about last night and they approved, or the school board approved first, and then it was just kind of a technicality that Union County Commission votes and approves it, was the rescue squad asked the school board to lease the building that they're in for another 10 years. School board's charging them $1. So the rescue squad will be, and that did pass. So the rescue squad will be in their building that they're in currently for another 10 years on $1 lease. So there's that. One of the other things that happened is a tax raise. And everybody knows I don't like tax increases. I kind of like the idea that Ron DeSantis is doing in Florida, trying to do away with property tax. But anyways, so there was a question about the state gave all counties the option, and it's an option. It's not you have to, it's not you don't have to, but gave the counties the option to increase by 5 cents the mineral tax. And the mineral tax money goes to the highway department. It can't go anywhere else. It goes to the highway department. The highway department fixes your roads and do, last county commission meeting, we found out that they're actually supposed to be trimming the trees and stuff if they're hanging over the road too close or whatever. But anyways, so that will bring approximately $35,000 more a year to the highway department's budget. And the highway superintendent was asked, do you need that money? And of course he said, well, yeah, I need that money. And so it was, everybody kind of laughed and that kind of thing. But so the raise was 5 cents per ton. It's not 5 cents to bottom line. It's 5 cents per ton. So if you go to Lewiston Quarry and buy a load of rock, for every ton of rock you get, you're paying an extra 5 cents per ton. So that raises the tax to 20 cents per ton. And it just so happened that Mr. Patterson, some of y'all know who Mr. Patterson is, was there in the crowd. And he was point blank asked by some of the county commissioners, how will that affect your business? And he's plainly said, it's not going to affect me any. He said, I'm just going to pass it on to the consumer. So, and the consumer is you and me. Anybody that goes there and buys anything or has driveway gravel delivered or anything like that, he's just passing it on. So he's just going to raise his price to cover that 5 cents per ton. And so Kenny Moore made the motion. Mike Bull seconded it, and everybody voted to pass that. Other than Greg Dyer and Larry Lay voted no, and Eddie Simpson voted to abstain. All your other county commissioners voted to increase the tax, and that kind of thing. So you're going to pay 5 more cents per ton, and whether it's you coal, your gravel, or whatever you might be using, any mineral, and there's even some dirts apparently that you're going to buy that you're going to have to pay this additional 5 cents per ton on. Several things got moved to November. Just trying to read my notes here. There was a discussion about the county paid for some water lines to be ran all the way to Chuck Swan, and 5 fire hydrants. The county paid extra money for the fire hydrants, but apparently Hallsdale Powell, who's doing those water lines, says that that money's not going far enough, that the county gave to Hallsdale Powell to do this, and so therefore these water lines are not going to go all the way where they were originally said to go. And so now the question is, okay, well, we gave you extra money for these fire hydrants too, so are the fire hydrants going in? Are we just not doing it? We're going to get our money back? What's the deal there? And so they're supposed to ask Hallsdale Powell to come to the November meeting to kind of explain where the situation is and what's going on. So we'll have to see next month how that pans out. But again, it's our tax money that was given, and so we need to find out, hey, what's the deal? But what the mayor said was the excuse for that, or what have you, was the fact that from the time that they were got the estimates to do the work to the time they actually received the money, prices skyrocketed, and so therefore the money they got didn't cover everything they planned for in the beginning. So there's that. One of the other discussions by Don Flatford was about getting these buildings started, and mainly the Speedwell Community Center. They're still waiting on the survey. Well, apparently the same people that did the survey for the jail is doing the survey for this Speedwell Community Center. And the Speedwell Community Center, even though it was kind of first, has got put on the back burner because somebody decided, I don't know if it was the surveyors or the mayor or who, but somebody decided that it was more important to get the jail property surveyed before the Speedwell Community Center property surveyed. And so now they're just in a holding pattern. And apparently there's some things that are not right with the Speedwell Community Center survey, and because apparently they did a preliminary one or whatever, and there's some things that they had to fix, and they've not done that yet. But Don Flatford's point is we need to get started on building these things, and we've got all these projects we're supposed to be working on, and none of them, other than the new middle school, has really got started yet. So, my opinion, and again, this is my opinion, part of that worry is we're getting close to winter time, and not a whole lot of building goes on in winter time. Some does, but not a whole lot. But then you're going to get into, after winter, you're going to get into springtime. What happens springtime? Then election season starts. And then what are the chances of all these building projects being finished before the August election? And then guess what? They get voted out of office. Their poor little names aren't going to get put on these buildings. and that kind of defeats the purpose of the whole reason they were passing all these building projects to begin with, to get their little names on these buildings. And again, that's my opinion, folks. You see me winking? That's my opinion on why there's this sudden worry about getting all these things built. But the Big Ridge property is ready to go. They got all the permits. The mayor keeps pointing out, so they're just ready to break ground on it. But the Speedwell Community Center, we need to get that moving. EMS, the new EMS building, that they applied for $1 million grant. The grant still hasn't been approved yet, and so therefore they've not been able to move forward with the new planned EMS building for the Maynardville location. But the mayor said that he reached out to the grant writers yesterday, and they assured him between yesterday and the first of next month, they will have an answer whether or not they're going to get that $1 million to build this new EMS station for the city of Maynardville. In the city of Maynardville, not for the city of Maynardville. Let me correct that. So, again, ultimately, it's your tax money, and ultimately, your and your future and your children and your grandchildren are being put on the line for paying for all these projects. And so, you know, we ain't nothing but a piggy bank. So one of the other things that kind of blew up last night was, well, let's see. Let me back up before we get to the one that blew up. So there was a group there, a couple guys there from a group called the Tennessee County Commission Association. And they were there to try to recruit, basically, the County Commission Association, or Tennessee County Commission Association. They kind of get together, and the guy kept talking about they eat a lot, and every place he would mention is they feed you good, they feed you good, they feed you good. So, and I like to eat too, so nothing against that. But he's a county commissioner from Granger County. There was that is a member of this Tennessee County Commission Association. There was another guy from Anderson County who's a county commissioner in Anderson County. So they were there last night to try to recruit Union County commissioners to join this group. And again, they get together and they work on things and try to decide what they want the state to do, not do, that might affect the county commission and what they can do or not do, and that kind of thing. And they go to the state legislators and work on things and do probably good stuff. I don't know. I'm not a part of the group. I only know what they talked about last night. So, the part that involves me and you is this. So, the cost for county commission in Union County to join this association is $1,400. And granted, it's $1,400. It's a lot of money to me, but maybe not to government. So the county commissioners were given an option that they could pay a monthly fee to join this association on their own, or they could pay the $1,400 as a group, and all 16 members of county commission join this group, and they can go to the meetings and eat a lot of good food and mingle and mix and, you know, do all the things that you do when you join an association. I'm not knocking the association at all. I am knocking the fact of this. So the mayor points out and says county commission has a line in the budget. So county commission can vote to have the taxpayers, me and you, to pay this $1,400 for county commissioners to join this group, this association. Mayor pointed it out first. You see eyes get big. Oh, we can join this group. We ain't got to pay for it. Cindy Jesse makes the motion to make us pay. And they can come at me all they want to, that it's in the budget. It's not taxpayer money. All the things that they're going to try to shove down your throat to make me look like the liar. But their budget comes from our taxes. Bottom line. They don't get any money other than what we pay our local government. So they can argue with me all they want. Bottom line is, it's our money. They're going to use it so all these county commissioners can join this association. So they can join this group, even though they were given the option that they could join and pay on their own. But no, we can't do that. We got to make sure the taxpayers pay it. So Cindy Jesse made the motion to make us taxpayers pay for them to join this association. Danny Cook says seconded it. I can't talk tonight. And so they voted. It passed. So we're going to pay $1,400 a year. $1,400 a year for our county commissioners to join this association where they can go hang out, have fun all over the state. So, oh wait, it gets better. Guess who's going to pay for the transportation? Because it's in the county's budget that county commissioners can use in their line. Even though they said, well, we took the travel out. All they have to do is vote to back in to be able to go to these places all over the entire state on our dime. How's that make you feel? Pissed me off. And granted, again, it's $1,400. Grand scheme of thing, drop in the bucket. But $1,400 is a lot of money to me. But our county commission has no problem spending our money. Obviously, they do it all the time. They did it to build the jail or buy the jail property, to do all these things. Did they ever ask you? Did they put it on a ballot and ask you if you were interested in doing it? Did they ask you if you wanted to build a new middle school? Did they ask you that you wanted to build a new EMS station? Did they ask you about building all these community centers? Did they ask you to buy the parking lot across the street? No, they didn't. They do what they want and make you pay the consequences. Consequences is taxes. And they've not even started on the conversation on how much they're going to have to raise taxes to build this new jail. They are afraid to start that conversation. They are afraid of what the repercussions are going to be. They are afraid that they're going to be unelected next year. But they have to do it soon because the plan to break ground is coming up in a couple months. And so they've got to move forward, or they got to start paying those extra fees to the architect. It's just, in the architect group, that company are brilliant at putting those stipulations in that if they don't do certain things by certain times, that they get extra money. I don't blame the architect. If I was running a business, I'd do the same thing. But again, those that voted no to have us taxpayers to pay this $1,400 for them were Don Flatford, surprisingly, and Gerald Simmons, and Larry Lay abstained. So all your other, because every county commissioner was there last night. None of them can say that they weren't there, so they didn't vote on it. None of them, other than Don and Gerald and Larry Lay took the easy way out and abstained, had a problem with you footing the bill for them to join this group. I have a problem with that. Again, they were given the option. They could join this group on their own, but didn't. There wasn't even a discussion. There wasn't even a little pause or a hesitation to say, wait a minute, you made this motion. Let's talk about this. Is it fair that we get a salary every month from the people that voted for us, from the taxpayers? So we get a salary, but not only now do we get a salary, now we're asking them to pay yearly $1,400 unless the association decides to increase the price. $1,400 a year for us to join this group. No problem with putting it on you. Didn't I say there's a tax sale coming up Saturday? What are tax sales? People that can't afford to pay their property taxes, now their property is being taken and it's being sold off to the highest bidder. See where these property taxes and all these other taxes keep adding up, folks? Eventually, there's going to be more and more people that are going to get their property taken and sold, because the more we go down the line, the higher these taxes go, the harder it is for people that are actually going to be able to afford it. So it's going to be, can we buy our medicine? Especially the elderly, are people just getting started, are people with kids. We're going to get to a point where, okay, well, we're going to buy medicine this month, we're going to buy food this month, or we're going to pay our property taxes this month. It's sad to say that here in our little old county, that we're going to have to face those decisions. But our current county commission gives no blankety blanks. They don't care. You're going to do what they want you to do. They're going to raise taxes. You're going to pay it, and you're going to like it. Just like the wheel tax. I hear so many. We fought the wheel tax being raised, and we were given all kinds of crap for it, and called all kinds of names, and done all this stuff. And then guess what happened? They raised it 66%. And then the next year rolls around and people start going and having to renew their tags. And oh no, our $27 tax to get our tag is now $80-something. Who let that happen? Who decided that? And then there was the outrage for it when we tried to stop it from the beginning. But we were the bad guys. We were just trying to stop things from happening. We didn't want good things to happen in the county. And we were called all kinds of names because we were trying to fight the tax raise. It's not the fact that we don't want a jail. We don't want a new school or a better school. There were other options on the table that we could have done and not have to put these millions and millions and millions of dollar bills on the backs of the citizens of this county. But we didn't want to think about it. We didn't want to talk about it. And so whose fault is that ultimately? It's ours as taxpayers for not following up and not following through and not showing up to the meetings and voicing our concerns and all this. But it's also the fault of the county commission for not putting it on the ballot. That's the main thing we were asking for. We were asking county commission to put it on a referendum, to put it on a ballot, and let the citizens decide by a vote if we wanted to have a wheel tax increase to pay for this new middle school. But we were told absolutely not, because we don't know, as citizens of this county, we don't know what's best for us. County commission knows what's best for us. And again, whose fault is it? It's our fault for voting these people in, and it's our fault for not showing up to the and letting our voices be told. So, who in the devil agreed to do this? Where was David Myers, county attorney? How stupid was this? David Myers was there, but he has nothing to do with it. It was just a vote for, county commission to have. The mayor is the one that brought it up. I don't think any of the county commissioners even had a thought about having the taxpayers pay it until, like I said, folks, when I'm at these meetings, I'm watching all the county commissioners, their reactions, their facial expressions, and when they snicker at different things, when they smile at different things. Larry Lay throwing his fit about the guy across the street that sells dirt. I pay attention to the little things because a lot of times the little things tell you more than what the words are that are being said. That's why I try to tell everybody, go to these meetings, pay attention. A lot of times it's not just words. A lot of times it's the actions. But anyways, I said that to say this. I don't think any county commissioner even thought for a moment to have us taxpayers pay that for them until Mayor Bailey says, county commissioners, y'all have a county commission line in the budget. Y'all can pay it out of the budget, the $1,400 a year. And as soon as he said that, like I said, I watched him. Eyes got big. Sidney Jesse Jr. jumped right on it and was like, I make a motion that we take $1,400 and out of the commission line, we pay it. And we join. It passed. So, as much negativity as I send Sidney Jesse's way, I'm going to shock y'all. This next part of the county commission meeting, I'm going to actually kind of agree with him and say kind of kudos to him. So, again, I'm fair. You do good, I'll let you know you did good. You do something I don't like, I'll let you know I don't like it. But here's the thing. So it was brought up by Sidney Jesse that there's I don't know if you've heard about it, but there's a Live Free program. That's what it's called. It's called Live Free. And what they do is it's a group out of Claiborne County. The head of it is a pastor in Claiborne County. And what they do is they use the conference room at the Union County Health Department, which is a county-owned property. And they do good things, I guess. They give out Narcan and stuff like that for, drug overdoses and stuff like that. But the problem is this. And again, I understand both sides of this situation. My problem is the liability side, which is kind of what Sidney Jesse was arguing last night. So they exchange needles. And so if you're a unfortunate person that is hooked on a drug or what have you, and you have 18 dirty needles that you've been saving up on Wednesdays, before last night, on Wednesdays, you could go to the health department they're there for an hour on Wednesdays, or were on Wednesdays. So they would go and take these 18 dirty needles and exchange them with this Live Free group and get clean needles. Apparently, there's a lot of people upset about it. Again, the idea behind the program is this. We get them people with the dirty needles to come in and get clean needles. We're going to stop some of the diseases, the hepatitis, the AIDS, all these other kinds of diseases, infections, and different things. we get those by exchanging the needles to lessen. And also, the health department director was saying that the also hope or the goal is that if a drug user decides 6 months down the road that they want help, they want to stop using drugs or what have you, they have a outlet they can go to, and they can talk to these people and say, hey, look, I know you exchange needles and whatever, but I need help. I want to be done with this life or what have you. So they have an outlet that they can get help. That's the live free part of that. That's their goals, right? And so that's why they do what they do. And they try to give education, and they try to do good, right? Everybody has somebody they know that has been on drugs, is on drugs, whether it's friend, a relative, somebody you know, whatever. You know that addiction is a hard thing to break. And so this Live Free program is trying to, help with that. I get that part. Again, what I'm going to agree with Sidney Jesse on is the liability for the county. This is not a state-sanctioned program. The state wants nothing to do with this program for the same reason. It's a liability. There's that liability word. It's a liability to the fact that one, and there was a discussion about, is a needle drug paraphernalia? Well, there were some deputies there. Eddie Simpson spoke up about it, that it's not necessarily considered paraphernalia. Well, it depends by what law you go by. If you go by federal law, a drug needle or a needle or a syringe or what have you is considered paraphernalia. Maybe a state law, because they were saying that a law just changed that they're not considered paraphernalia anymore unless they have a drug in them. Then they become paraphernalia. But I looked it up. By federal law, a needle, a syringe, is considered drug paraphernalia. And so it's going to depend on, how an officer wants to approach it, whether it's a state law or federal law. But by federal law, a needle is paraphernalia. So that's one of Sidney Jesse's concern was, if we're handing out needles, we're handing out paraphernalia for these drug users. So we're setting them up for failure. Number one. Number two, the health department being a county-owned property, let's play hypothetical situation. Let's say somebody goes in, does a good thing because they didn't throw their needle out in the middle of the road or in the park or somewhere that a kid could get to it. So that's another worry, is all these needles being exchanged. We're going to see needles start showing up everywhere, even more than we already do. So then you get this situation kind of explains what I'm trying to get at. Let's say Joe, and Joe's a drug user, and he's addicted to all kinds of things, and he shoots up whatever he can shoot up, whenever and as fast as he can shoot up and whatever. So he decides, hey, I've got these old rusty needles that I can't use anymore, so I'm going to go and I'm going to exchange them at this needle exchange. And so he takes 10 needles in. He gets 10 clean needles, 10 brand new needles. And he can't wait to get his fix. And so he goes out in the parking lot, gets in his car, and shoots up. Well, he was too excited or whatever and overdoses and maybe dies, then who's liable for that? And that was part of the concern with county commissioners last night is it's on county property. So could the county be liable for having this needle exchange on the property? We need more information. We need to find out some more things about how this is going to break out if something bad happens, because the county already knows they're being sued out the wazoo currently. They don't need any more. So Sidney Jesse made a motion to suspend the use of the health department for this drug or needle exchange until they got more information. But it's not going to stop it. This group can get another church or some other building or somewhere to do this. This is just stopping it from being on county-owned property. Kenny Moore seconded it. It passed to suspend the use of the health department for this situation or for the use. Greg Dyer and Bill Cox voted no to suspend the use. So, like I said, folks, I understand both sides of that situation. My focus tonight is the liability. As a taxpayer, I don't want to have to pay more money, more taxes to pay if the county gets sued over a situation like I described. Nothing against what this group is doing. They have good intentions. Not knocking them for what they're trying to do. On the flip side of that, being a former police officer and knowing a little bit about how drug users work, they're going to abuse the system to get their fix unless they're on the path to actually, like I said, trying to get back on the straight and narrow path. I'm gonna get a little personal here. My middle brother, there's three of us brothers. My middle brother is a drug addict. And I'll show mugshots one day of his process of how he looks, because it affects everybody at some point in time. But my middle brother is a drug user, drug addict. He's been through rehab several times. When you're in the clutches of addiction and that drug takes over your life, all you can think about is your next fix. Where's it going to come from? How are you going to get it? And you don't care what you got to do and who you got to do it to get that. Example, my brother, before my mom passed away, for several years, robbed my mother blind. My mother, and it being her son, felt sorry for him, and he was living on the street and all this. So she would let him come and live with her for a little while. And pardon my French, but this son of a bitch would steal my mom's credit cards, debit cards, anything that he could get his hands on, he'd steal. The worst time was a few years ago, and he stole over $50,000 from my mom, being credit cards, money she had in the bank, to feed his addiction, knowing he was hurting my mother. Didn't care. I've got videos or recordings of him that my mom would record of him being in her bathroom sounds like he's dying, huffing and screaming, oh my God, and just awful things. And it would get to the point where my mom would go to sleep and he would go out to the garage and pop the latch on the garage door opener so he could open the garage door without, it waking her up by opening, because her bedroom was on the other side of that wall. He called a taxi cab, had a taxi come to her house, and carried out everything he possibly could and put in that taxi TVs, my son's Xbox, just all kinds of things, whatever he could get his hands on. Stole her debit card again. I just so happened to be on my way. Something just told me to go check on my mom. At some point, I passed him in this taxi cab on Emory Road. And we found this out later by the police reports and doing all this stuff. He went straight to the bank, to the ATM, started taking her money out. We got the pictures of him at the ATM doing that. And like I said, I just had a bad feeling about what was going on. And he already threatened my mom a few times. And I just, how you just get those feelings sometimes. And so I got to my mom's house. I was actually headed to work when I got this feeling. And so I went to my mom's house, and something just told me something was wrong. And so instead of going to the front door like I normally did, or going through the garage like I normally did, I went around to the back. I went to the back of her house, and I just looked in the window. And this is going to break my heart, and I'm going to try not to cry because I love my mom and I miss her to death. Matter of fact, I keep a picture of her right here next to me while I'm doing podcasts, because all my podcasts are always dedicated to my mama. So I looked through my mom's kitchen window, and my mom is sitting right there in the middle of her living room in a kitchen chair, just staring off in space. And I will never forget that look on her face. And so I went in the house. Like I said, I knew something was wrong. And I said, Mom, what's wrong? And she just said, go look. And I went and looked, and TV's gone. All this other stuff is gone. Like, where's he at? She said, I don't know. I woke up. This was the way it was. Stole my mom blind. And I say all that to say this. If a person that is in full-fledged addiction and will do something like that to their mom that they supposedly love, and that my mom's trying to help him, do you think that a person in that mind frame is going to go and exchange these needles and not have other intentions? Like I said, there may be a time when somebody does get help or wants help. But when they're in this state of mind, like my brother is or was, you think that he's not thinking about getting his next high as quickly as he can? You think that he's not going to go get needles and then go right in the parking lot and get his fix? So, like I said, this is where, like I said, the concern is with it being on county property, being a county taxpayer. Like I said, nothing against the group for trying to do what their goal is. This is protecting county taxpayers. And so, again, I will agree with Sydney Jesse. on this one. So then you ask the question, who let them do this in the first place? Who in the world thought this was a good idea? Your mayor, Jason Bailey, signed off on the use of this county building, put us as taxpayers on the line by doing this, didn't bring it up to county commission before he signed off on it, didn't mention it to county commission, didn't bring it up to us taxpayers, anything like that, didn't get any of our opinions on it, any of county commission opinions on it, just took it upon himself to go ahead and put your name on that dotted line as a taxpayer and let them use this county building. Like I said, they can find another building and continue doing it, but if it's not a county building, we're not liable for it. And God forbid if something bad happens or whatever, I hope not, I pray not. But at least with it not being in a county building, then us as taxpayers are not on the hook for it. And so I can't believe that the mayor would do that to us as a taxpayer. Again, great intentions that the group does, well-meaning. I get all that, not knocking them at all. But on a liability standpoint, put us against a lot of liability and that kind of thing. And like I said, I know about addiction. I've dealt with it. Again, I will show pictures one day of the process of what my brother looked like in these mug shots and living on the street and all this. I get it. I was the one taking my mom to court and to the banks and canceling these cards and all this stuff. I've lived through it. I know. I feel sorry for the ones that are trying to get out of that addiction and all that. I understand it. Nothing against this program or what they're trying to do. My concern is the liability as us as taxpayers and the bad judgment of the mayor to put us on that dotted line for that. So anyways, that's the county commission meeting. And unless you have any questions, that will be the podcast for tonight. John Hales is per commissioner. I think you were talking about the $1,400. That the $1,400 was for the entire group. Glad you're back. I appreciate it. All right. Well, if nothing else, I will leave you with this. And if no questions, I will say goodnight. God bless you. Be safe. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast, all your trick-or-treating and Halloween parties and all that kind of good stuff coming up. Don't forget, also, time changes this week or this weekend. You fall back an hour. So remember to set your clocks and all that kind of good stuff. Back an hour. So you're not late for church or anything like that come Sunday. But remember to pray for me. I'll pray for you. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Sorry I've been gone for a little while. But life keeps happening and sometimes things come up. But thank you for joining us tonight. And like I said, pray for me and I'll pray for you. And we'll see you next time. Thank you and good night.
You just heard The Dirt. Dig into the bottom of every situation to get the truth with your host, Jason Mills. Tune in next week at the same time for another Dirt broadcast.